What's going on, guys? Gas Station here, giving you another 20,000 subscriber special podcast. And today I have another special guest joining me to help answer your questions. It's my pleasure to introduce TheJWittz onto the podcast today. How you doing, TheJWittz?
Hello, doing good. Pleasure to be the special guest today.
So I first want to ask you something that I've been pressed to ask fellow basketball fans.
Hi. Oh yeah, let's go. What's up?
Was that a dirty play by Zaza?
Okay, I agree with Popovich's assessment of it, where he says, does it even matter if it's dirty or not? Or sorry, I think it is dirty. Does it matter if it's intentional or not? He says, with manslaughter, you kill someone by accident. Does it matter if there was intent or not? You still killed the person.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's bad basketball. That's
yeah,
all
it is.
I know.
It was really frustrating because I've never really been a fan of Golden State. I've kind of always went with what my favorite player, like what team they went to. And now, now I'm rooting for Cleveland because Kyle Korver is like one of my favorite players.
I have a fondness for Kyle Korver. He was on the Bulls for a handful of years back when we were relevant in the East. Not Michael Jordan relevant, but relevant.
He was on the Bulls?
Yeah, he was on the Bulls for like 3-4 years.
Really?
I think he went to the Hawks from the Bulls. The local announcer, Stacey King, he had a phrase specifically for Kyle Korver because he always hit threes. He called it the hot sauce. Oh yeah, Korver, give me the hot sauce.
Yeah, I actually was. Yeah,
very, very efficient player.
Because I thought he went from Utah to Atlanta, but I guess Chicago. He was there for a few years, I guess.
Yeah, great player. He obviously benefits quite a bit when he has a player named LeBron James to space the floor for him.
Yeah, just stand there and shoot threes.
Over 50% threes made, something stupid like that. Oh, by the way, welcome. This is a basketball podcast.
Yeah.
Well, it is funny to note. People, even when you were doing your announcement thing, they're like, "How do you guys know each other?" And I was like, obviously it starts with Fire Emblem, but we only started talking over basketball. That was the big start of our conversations. Yeah. In general, I struggle to find people that like video games and like sports.
We're a rare breed. Anyways.
So how's the podcast? What's up? What's going on?
Well, we have a few questions here, about 10. And I'm just going to actually ask you something before we actually get into the questions that I listed here. I remember you had Path of Radiance placed at 7th or 6th in your top 10 underrated GameCube games list. And then one of the first tweets I saw of you was asking what your stream should be between FE2, 4, and 6. And I was like, oh my god, you seem to have a pretty solid understanding. So before we actually get into these questions, I was wondering if you could give me a little bit of a background of your history with the franchise.
Totally. So I have played every official English release of the game. I started with my first intelligent systems game, at least first that I know of. My dad got me Advance Wars for Christmas. I just got the Game Boy Advance, and I thought it looked so stupid. I looked at the cover, and it just looked so generic. This is I only knew franchises, this isn't Mario, this isn't Zelda. These are some weird anime war people? What is this? My dad's, as usual, my dad actually did a lot of research before buying me games to find ones that he thought I'd actually like. And he was like, no, trust me, this is going to be good. You're going to like it. And I played it and I was like, oh, wow, I actually really like it. I always loved strategy RPG games. I grew up playing the Shining Force stuff on the Sega Genesis.
Oh, yeah, man.
Pretty much, you put it on a grid and I love it. It's like battle chess or something. I always grew up playing a lot of chess. So anything that's slightly like chess, I usually enjoy. And so that really got me hooked on the genre. And then, of course, there was the whole oh, who are these sword people in Smash Bros? Oh, okay. They are Fire Emblem. Oh, look at this. There's a new Fire Emblem game. And even though neither Marth nor, mostly not Roy, are even in that game, it didn't matter to me because by the time I was playing it, I was already familiar with the genre, and I was like, wow, this is great. This is really cool. So I started, I guess, with 7, and then did 8, and then we didn't get 9, and we didn't get stuff for a little bit. And I've just basically played all of the English releases, but have not really dabbled in the Japanese ones. I'm sort of weird on like the emulator stance, and it's a weird situation. Nintendo very clearly does not like it when you do emulated footage. There was like a Pokemon commentator, Shady Penguin. They said like he couldn't do commentary anymore if he didn't delete his ROM hack videos. This isn't like a secret. He did a whole video about it. But it just like really bummed me out. I was like, wow, well, okay, I gotta tread carefully with ROM hacks then if I want to keep doing commentary. So there's this weird unspoken territory. I'm hoping that someday Nintendo will be a little more lenient when it comes to like ROM hacks or translations for games that we didn't get. But for those original games that I didn't play, what I would do instead is I'd watch other people play them. And I think that's when I was introduced to the gas station. There wasn't a lot of like Fire Emblem content. Like there's certainly a lot more now, but at the time, there was just a couple of creators here or there. You're one of the regular creators that was doing some stuff, playing those weird Gaiden games. So I did enough to like learn more about these other games that I either at one point like didn't have the resources to play, or there weren't always great English translations, or now I'm like, I can play in my free time, but I'm not sure I can play them on like stream or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my history. I definitely really enjoy the English games. I'm a big fan, and I'm hoping that we can get more of the games that we didn't get, if not localized, then remade so that they're at least localized for a new audience.
Okay, so now we're going to actually get into the questions here. First question is by Lorufangs, who asks, what was the experience that impacted you the most in Fire Emblem? Like your real special moment where you were like, whoa, I freaking love this. Now, for me, I think one of my most vivid memories as a kid is looking at the Fe7 animations for the first time.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Yeah, and my most profound one was when I first beat Bot of the Beast, where Lynn did the critical hit, like the scripted critical, and I was like, that was like the coolest thing.
Like right at the beginning?
Yeah, right at the beginning.
Oh yeah, it's great.
The whole kind of the visual aesthetic of what Fire Emblem had and the over-the-top animations, and when you were a kid, like for me, I don't know about you, but like I didn't really have the attention span or mind to even like read the writing or anything. Like for me, when I was young, I kind of just like saw the characters and they said stuff, and then I saw, oh, there's some like drama going on, but I don't really care because I can't really pay attention or look too deeply into the story. So I always just focus on the visual aspects of the game, and that was the thing I valued the most, was looking and discovering all the new classes, because when you're playing something for the first time, it's all completely new to you. So like when I first saw the archers and when I first saw the knights and the generals critical animation and like the whole chain nonsense that the generals had, all of those animations were so appealing and so colorful and so bright and so cartoonish that it was just like, those were the kind of things that appealed to me as a kid. Like you mentioned this before, Shining Force, and there's a lot of semblances between Fire Emblem and Shining Force, and Shining Force 2 is actually one of my favorite games ever. So when I was really getting into Fire Emblem, I really started to realize how close these like Shining Force 2 and Fire Emblem 7 was, and I was just like, this is the kind of game that I love, and these animations and the style is the kind of things that made me really, really like Fire Emblem.
I guess if I had to pull memory, it also comes from Fire Emblem 7. Like something that's just like, whoa, like this is Fire Emblem. Would probably be the first time a unit died for me. I want to say it was Rebecca. Once you're in like Ellawood's story, the Lynn training wheels come off, and you start, working through the main campaign. Later along, I was like, oh wait, wow. Your characters just die. Like I wasn't warned about this. I should have read the manual more closely. I'm coming from like an Advanced Wars background where everything's expendable. If a tank blows up, it's like, oh well, there goes my tank. I'll build another one. You can't build another Rebecca. So it was just one of those things. Like I realized, for better and for worse, I was like, wow, this is very different. I need to treat this a lot more seriously. We need to play more defensively. it kind of put me in the shoes of like what a real life general is like, albeit very, very, very distantly removed from like what happens in the real world. But in general, like you have to make sacrifices sometimes, or you have to make sure that, you know, who's coming back home alive today. And this is before I realized like soft resetting and stuff was even a thing. I just dealt with it. It really helped me realize like, okay, your decisions really matter. It made the games really tense and interesting. It's sort of that big factor. Like, I love Advance Wars and I love Fire Emblem, but it really distinguished the two. This isn't just Advance Wars, but instead of tanks, there's swords. These are people.
Yeah, that definitely is a really sort of punch in the mouth kind of moment. I never really dwelled on permadeath that often because I tend to reset anyway. But when I lost Rickon in my Awakening Iron Man that I'm doing at the moment.
Oh, that you're doing right now, right?
Yeah. And I lost Rickon to some nonsense. I lost it. I lost it on the video, and I was just like so upset. And I knew I couldn't restart, and I was just like, oh, I actually was gonna put investment into him. It has a much more profound effect when you force yourself not to reset, and you have to just dwell on the fact that you lost that unit and it's not coming back.
But on streams, you're just agonizing to let a unit die. Like, no, please no.
Yeah.
The whole chat's blowing up. Bible thumps are coming out. It's a fun experience. I definitely recommend streaming Fire Emblem. It's definitely changed the game a lot for me. Experiencing a game by yourself versus experiencing it with a community.
Oh, for sure, man. I'll tell you what, like the guys who watch will give me such a hard time whenever someone dies.
Yeah, there's always going to be like the number snobs.
Yeah.
well, the backseat Fire Emblem quarterbacks.
Oh my gosh.
Obviously this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you just gotta roll with the punches. You're like, well, it wasn't obvious to me.
Yeah,
They're dead now.
I'm the one talking and doing all this stuff at the same time, bud. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the other thing I always tell people is like, hey, if I'm not playing this on stream, I'll pull out a calculator and I actually like run these numbers. But I actually find there to be a bit of entertainment value in just going on your gut. You know,
yeah,
like sometimes the math is right, sometimes it is very much not right.
Yeah.
Or sometimes the math is great and you still get screwed by, you know, you missed and they critted. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Alrighty, so TheJWittz asks, if you were a Fire Emblem character, what would your stats, class, and personal skill be? Now my sort of the fun sort of jokes that people have on my channel is that I'm very, very, very lucky, and like both in like real life and in Fire Emblem, because like there's just these funny instances where like the day I was trying to find a capture card, I go on the Loopy forums and there's one for sale like that day and I pick it up. In Fire Emblem Heroes pulls, I kind of have a rep of getting like 5 stars more often than I should be getting them.
If anyone's ever watched my pull streams, people just hate me.
Yeah, you get really lucky too, eh?
Yeah, just absurd. Like I'm in that weird, like, not quite a whale, but certainly not free to play, by the way. I spend more than the average person, but I pull an insane amount of 5 stars. Like, I'll get like a 5-star every like 40 orbs spent or something stupid like that. Yeah. Which is not what it's supposed to be.
No.
It's great for me, but everyone hates me.
Everyone hates you for it. Everyone hates you for it.
So with all this luck, what class are we going to?
Well,
or what skills are we picking up?
So, with the luck as my boon, I like the mercenary class a lot because I think mercenaries are like the best ally class you could pick up, or you could be. I just think all their skills are really balanced and they're always really good. And my personal is going to be Miraculous Save from Kaze, who procs Miracle for the character he's partnered up with, but pretty much. Yeah. But it's for myself, so I'm pretty much, my personal skill is just Miracle, because I can.
Wait, you're miraculous saving yourself?
Yes, I'm doing that because I'll always throw myself in situations where, like, you know, it's like that bad math or just bad luck or bad RNG or whatever, and then I'll just survive. I'm
pretty boring. I'll usually boon like speed for stuff. I always find it really cool. Like, oh man, I've got enough speed. I'm doubling. I'm moving it. Oh, like light speed. It's so great. So I guess I'd boon speed. As far as class, in terms of like just pure aesthetics, I've always really enjoyed the Dread Fighter. First, and it's kind of cool because it originated, from what I understand, in Gaiden. It's kind of coming back into its own thing in this remake. It's not just this like side DLC class. So I just feel like it'd be fun. I like the idea of these like jack of all tradesy classes. Swords are fun. The class just looks really cool. For personal skill, I've always really enjoyed Odin's Aching Blood one, just because of the pure ridiculousness of being forced to name a weapon 12 characters or more. That's just silly. Like, they could have just given him the critical. Like, it's not like it's that one where it requires you have like a bunch of tomes in your inventory or anything. You just have to name it. It's just funny to me. Like, someone was sitting and trying to design these skills, and you're like, you know what? I actually want to make a funny skill, and I really enjoyed that.
You actually that actually is a pretty creative answer. Yeah, his personal is hilarious.
Like, yeah, I'll take the extra crit percent as well. That's great, but
I'll name my tome A just for the crits.
Why not? Or because it's 12. My last name is always 12 letters, so that's just like a straight input for me sometimes. Or you can just put in some special characters, some symbols. Make it fancy. I would just want to be like silly and fast, and I think that would be a fun comp.
It does sound pretty fun. And he also had a second question here. I think this is more directed at me, obviously. He says, and because you hate waifus, who would you S rank? And I actually had to think about this question because I had to answer this last time, and I had Celica. I put Celica, or not Celica, Cecilia.
Oh, I'm shocked. I know how much you like Perry. I would have thought.
Stop that. I think I'd put Cecilia from Fe7 on there, and do you remember Vika from Radiant Dawn?
Yes.
And she had I don't know anything about her personality, and quite frankly, I don't even think she has much of one. But I just thought I just thought her aesthetic was really like her look was just really really attractive. So I guess those two.
That's fair. For people who follow my stuff, I always it kind of started ironically, and it kind of still is ironically. It's more tongue in cheek. But in the games where like I can wife Anna, I do wife Anna, just for the heck of it. Even though she is technically like taken in another Fire Emblem game, she's just a familiar face. You know, your waifu's gonna die in this generation, but my waifu's gonna be reincarnated, Nurse Joy style.
You make a very good point.
She'll always be there. Whether it's in your tutorials or selling you things, or literally the commander of your army in the new mobile game. She'll always be there for you, and will always be a steady source of income. So.
Wow, you make a very, very strong point. I did not think of it that way.
She's like just silly enough where I'm like, you know what? This is a fun go-to. Being like maybe moderately serious. I don't know. I always like aesthetic-wise, I enjoyed like Mia's character in Path of Radiance.
I also thought Titania was pretty nice too.
Oh, she's great. She's got the hots for your dead dad though. If you get her rank all the way up, I think she admits that to you.
Yeah, I actually remember that cutscene specifically. Yeah, that was some pretty interesting support usage there. All right, so Gideon West asks, "What's your favorite Fire Emblem and why do you like it?" It's a tie-up between Gaiden and Sacred Stones. I like Gaiden because it was just so quirky and adventurous and ambitious. But in terms of like sort of like a kind of it hits all cylinders type of favorite, I'd say Sacred Stones, because I felt like the plot was very well written. The characters were also very well written, and it just has that GBA aesthetic that I always really enjoyed.
Yeah, I thought it was a good follow-up to Fire Emblem 7 for sure. I always really enjoyed that one, and I was just recently running through it. It's one of the few that you can run on your 3DS, because it's if you were like a Game Boy or 3DS brand ambassador, you can play it as one of the few Game Boy Advance emulated games on there. But it's still really dumb that the 3DS can't just play Game Boy Advance games otherwise.
Yeah,
it
seriously.
Makes zero sense. And I'm still waiting on my the entire Nintendo Switch Virtual Console. Where is that?
Yeah, for sure.
I would sure love to play those games on there too.
Yeah, I heard a rumor that Path of Radiance was going to be on that, but I don't even know if that's true.
I don't know. Speaking of Path of Radiance, that's probably my favorite. I loved like the story, the characters. I felt like they all like bounced off of each other really well, branching off from like the Grail mercenaries into this big conflict that's way bigger than what you start with. Everybody's really interesting, and like, yeah, it's not the world of like deep supports, but you don't necessarily need supports because the character dialogue is really solid just throughout the adventure.
That's a good point.
And the maps are big. They're like, I felt like they utilized the not portable Fire Emblem format well. You know, some maps you just sit down and they're a whole day's adventure if you don't know what's going on at first. So I always really enjoy it. I would love to see it. Oh man, Path of Radiance Echoes. There was like a brief like typo or something.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that on Twitter. Yeah, Nintendo America.
They said like you can encounter Ike in Path of Radiance Heroes or something like that. Or
it was like, I think it was Fire Emblem Echoes Path of Radiance or something like that.
Echoes, or sorry, not Heroes. Sorry, Echoes Path of Radiance. Oh man, and just for a moment I was flipping out. It's probably not legit. But yeah. I feel like those games make so much sense on the Virtual Console, especially the GameCube and Wii one. They're just so expensive. Like, if people even want to play the games and try them out, they're like $100+ per disc, which that's asking a lot for, you know, a game that has other, like, if you're playing Fire Emblem today and you finished your 3DS games and you want to play a different game, your most natural choice is probably going to like the Wii U Virtual Console and getting the Game Boy Advance games through there. But I really want to see more people check out like Path of Radiance because I think it's an awesome and unique take. But God, it's so expensive. Yeah. So, it has not aged the best visually, just like any game that uses polygonal graphics. I will admit, like, the aesthetics of the 2D games look a lot better than the combat that you see in Path of Radiance, but I still really enjoy the characters. And the character models and stuff still look great. They're like 2D models.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it would be really cool if, as a Switch title, they would do either on either a remaster of FE4. But I actually don't really know if they will do a remaster of FE4 because I just think it would have to work out a lot of. It would have to rewrite a lot because there's a lot of incest in that game.
yeah, I don't know. It's always weird in general. Like, Japan is usually less. Well, it is very strange because if you go to watch, like, what would you say is the most popular TV show on American television? It's probably Game of Thrones. And that's like an extremely common motif there. But like, you put it in the games and you're like, well, let's not touch this. Let's localize this. Let's walk around it. I'm not saying it's okay. Obviously it's not okay. But
we don't endorse incest on the channel.
No. Oh dear God, no. It's weird on Game of Thrones too. But like, just because something is weird or gross doesn't necessarily mean, in my opinion, that it can't be explored as a story element.
Yeah, for sure.
But either way, yeah, it's like you said, it's weird. Although I guess if they ever really want to go back to the children mechanic, there's your opportunity. You scratch everybody's back with that game. There's the fans that want to see it, the people that want to see it localized, and the people that maybe they give this new Echoes game a shot and they miss making babies. I hope that's not the case. But I'm curious to see, like, the sales figures, the general interest in Echoes. I almost feel like it's not fair to compare how Echoes does to other games because Nintendo has like a pseudo handheld that they're already working on, and like the 3DS in general is getting less support all around.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I want the game to do well so that they consider doing like quality remasters, not just like the occasional like Pokemon. They'll always like phone in a remaster. Some of them are great. Sometimes you get the Heart Gold, Soul Silver treatment, and then sometimes you get Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. That's decent, but like doesn't try anything crazy new.
Right.
But it seems I haven't played it yet. Have you played the Japanese version of Shadows of Valencia yet?
I haven't. I had the ROM of it that I was going to try out on my 3DS, but I decided to just swear off on all spoilers and just take it all in for Friday.
This is tough because I know a lot of people have been digging it up one way or another. Well, this Friday I'll definitely have to circle back around with you and see how you feel about the remake.
Oh, for sure.
You would know so much more than I about what they change in Gaiden and whether they did it justice or not. That question had nothing to do with Echoes, but we got there.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of tied
Well, no,
back.
it sort of did. Like, you love Gaiden, obviously.
Yeah, it was related. All right, Lettuce Proprietor asks, what is your favorite Fire Emblem song? That is such a hard question. I don't know about you, man, but there's the OSTs and especially like your favorite game, Path of Radiance. So many good songs.
It's really good, and I think there's a lot of great like. If you're allowed to extend it to like Smash Bros, there's some really great remixes that they've done over the years that I've really enjoyed.
Oh, for sure.
If we're going just straight music, I actually really like. I don't even know the name of it. Maybe you can help me out here. Whatever song plays during Chapter 10 of Awakening, it's just really beautiful music, and I like that it doesn't switch during the enemy's side they attack. Just
I think it's called. It's not "Don't Speak Her Name," is it?
Maybe.
Yeah, but I know what the one you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm not saying Awakening has this wonderfully crafted story, but I do think they had a nice touching moment there. I remembered the song. I put it on my MP3 player. I run to that at the gym and cry at the same time. In a way, it really is a map worth crying for because the only death in the entire game happens in that chapter.
Don't say it, man.
Mustafa.
No.
It's actually it's a pretty sad moment. He says something like, "Please spare my men," and I'm looking at this empty battlefield that I've carved through.
Yeah, about that.
Some bad news. No, just straight music. I'm like, wow, this is a great piece. Piece.
Yeah, it was a very poignant moment for that game, and especially the way they set it up with the rain and and the whole sort of setup for Crom's sort of futile decision of just, well, what am I gonna do? And then it just happens, and you're like, well, shit. I'll admit it's a pretty.
It's probably the story highlight of that game. It certainly gets weird past there, but just straight from a music standpoint, I actually really like this song.
Oh, for sure. For me, see, I do this thing where I'll just listen to Fire Emblem soundtracks of games I haven't even played yet.
Have you started listening to Echoes? Because I've heard some real, as Smash Bros. Player Mango would say, some real bangers. That soundtrack, my God!
I only listen to the end game boss theme and the final chapter theme.
It's just so funny to be like, okay, well, I only listened to the climax. I didn't listen to anything else. I only took a sneak peek at the most important. No, that was the one that was making the rounds on Reddit. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, it's easily one of the most. I think, first of all, the best song in Gaiden, and also just
it's like your one-winged angel or whatever.
Exactly.
It's your
it is
big
like
climactic piece.
Yeah, and also from just the composition and the fact that it sounds so good on an NES system, it was just it's super, super good of a song. But in terms of my favorites, there's Tearing Shadows, which is from FE12. and there's Murderous Puppets, which is an enemy face theme or an ally face theme from FE12 in the late game, which is also really good. Path of Radiance.
Oh, there's a ton there.
Yeah, the ally recruitment theme is really good. Gosh, there's so many. Unexpected Caller from FE7.
Oh, that's a good one.
They're all I can't believe I like know all these. This is how much I listen to these songs. Like I actually can like just name off the song titles.
It's not like extremely tied to the story or whatever, but I've always really enjoyed like just like Power Hungry Fool. That's always a fun theme.
Really?
Yeah, it's really simple, but and maybe it's enhanced because it's in Smash Bros. Every time I play, if I like just crush somebody in Smash Bros. To that theme, I can feel it coursing through my veins. I am the Power Hungry Fool. I can't be stopped. There's low hanging fruit like Together We Ride. It's actually like an awesome theme. It pumps me
you're
up.
right. Yeah.
Overall, it's just a series with great music.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like a lot of series like that have the roots in chiptunes tend to survive really well over the years, even as they transition to like orchestral stuff.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think you're right on that. It's crazy to think how old this franchise is. Like,
oh yeah, it's super old.
Yeah, when I was playing FE7, and then I was like, I finished FE7, played FE8, and I was like, well, there has to be like more games behind this. Freaking like 7 more games, and I'm just like, how do I even start? Like, it's just so many.
What took them so long? Why did they think this wouldn't succeed? That's my like. I'll never know the answer to that.
It's because they thought North America would suck at Fire Emblem.
Oh,
yeah, that's actually. I'm fairly certain. Yeah, I think that's actually the reason. Like,
well, they certainly didn't have that issue when it comes time for like Radiant Dawn. They like didn't they localize it wrong with like the difficulty options?
Yeah, I don't even know. I think they localized normal as hard mode or something. And in Path of Radiance they didn't even put in Maniac mode for North America. They took it out. Like they left that part out.
Okay, thanks guys. Opposite. First they think that we're babies, and then they just forget that we're babies altogether. They're certainly going back and grabbing a taste of the flavors, the forbidden fruits. Yeah, the mobile game Heroes is certainly inspiring people to do that too.
Oh, for sure, I agree.
You've got these 5-star units from a game we've never played before. Heck yeah, I want to play that game. You know,
yeah.
I know where this character's from.
That's something I really credit Heroes for doing, is just giving like Western players a taste of legacy Fire Emblem. With a nice twist of like updated art and stuff. I'm following an artist on Twitter, and she posted like a drawing of Seliph, and the caption was like, I've never played FE4, but I just really like this design. And I was like, I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah. Oh man, if anything, it has brought so much fan art to characters that didn't get a ton back in the day.
Oh, for sure.
There's certainly a lot to appreciate.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's kind of a driving off of Fire Emblem, but it's going to come back. We're going to do a little bit of a detour here.
Sounds
good. We gotta
get gas, right? We gotta take our car off the road, go to the gas station. What's this pit stop?
As for a question, if you could go back in time and teach yourself anything you can do right now, what would it be? And I have a very simple answer to that one. It's cook.
Oh my god, you took mine!
Oh, really? Yours is cook too?
I have it written down. Yes, cooking. Well, there are other things I would have put here, but they very specifically asked a skill that you can do right now. If it was skills that you couldn't do, I would go back in time and press a previous version of myself more. Hey, don't give up trying to learn languages, because when you get old, nothing's going to stick anymore. Learn it young. Drive it in. Ask your mom to buy that Rosetta Stone for you at age 8, because you'll absorb it like a sponge. But if we're talking, like, I obviously don't speak a second language well right now. But I can cook, and I couldn't before. I could have had a much less miserable college experience had I been able to cook. So I totally agree.
Yeah. What are your go-to meals? Okay, how about this? What were your go-to meals in university? Because I can definitely relate, and I can definitely tell you that I'm probably doing the same thing right now.
like grilled cheese is like the staple because it's like, what? You need bread, cheese, butter. There you go. It's not a meal. That's certainly not something that'll sustain you. I could cook on a grill. That was something I was new to do. We had a grill on our roof in college, so occasionally, you know, I'd flip a burger or something. But the only meal I would do would be like stir fry. Just like, oh, hey, here's some rice, here's some vegetables, here's a meat. But I wish I knew how to cook, because then I would have cooked more instead of falling into the trap of like, oh, hey, I'm going to order food. This is really easy. And there's food all around me here on Campus Town. I can get a true variety in life. By variety, I mean like variety of different ways to kill you. I gained so much weight in college, an embarrassing amount, that I'm like still feeling the effects of. We've almost fought it off. But my God, if I had just cooked for myself.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that for sure. And for me too, like my go-tos is still spaghetti.
Sure.
Spaghetti, yeah, super quick. Oatmeal, eggs.
I did that all the time in college. I didn't even know if we're allowed to call that cooking. But you know what I mean. Like that was.
Okay, well, if you put it that way, maybe
sure.
not.
I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you make, you know, Guess special homemade oatmeal recipe. I'm not gonna knock it if you do, but I usually just involve me dumping Quaker Oats, adding a little water, and throwing it into a microwave.
Yeah, fair. Actually, I use the stove, so
that's fair. That's a step up. I feel like when you do something in a stove instead of in the microwave, it immediately puts it up one tier. I've always enjoyed like stovetop ramen. Is an enhancement in my opinion, instead of like straight like microwaving it. But even then, I was like even worse than that. Like I just didn't cook at all. It was so easy. It's like, oh, am I gonna have a pizza or a calzone or fried chicken today? Oh, it's only $5. They got the college discount. Can you believe that? Only $5 for a meal? What a bargain!
Yeah. And you think it is a bargain too, but then
really.
you realize you spend so much money on it, and you're just like, well, I guess in hindsight, I probably just could have went grocery shopping and just bought things for the long term instead of just cashing out on this like nonsense chips and stuff.
I mean, I guess on one side of it's like, well, you know, that was one era of my life that I won't be able to replicate. It was a unique experience. I can look back on it, but ultimately, learn to cook. It's not like I say that it's really not that hard. It's just following instructions. Do you know how to make Legos? Do you know how to follow instructions in Legos? Then you know how to cook.
So Whimsy asks, what characters in your opinion have the best chemistry? When I first played Fire Emblem, Kent and Sane's chemistry helped to draw me in so deeply in love with the series. Also, who is your favorite Cain and Abel archetype? In terms of favorite chemistry, I'm gonna say Eliwood and Ninian.
Oh, that's a great one. Especially well, is it just straight confirmed that Ninian is Roy's mother? Like, has that been directly confirmed, or is it more just like so obvious that it's true?
I think I don't remember if FE6 has anything that implies that Roy has like dragon blood or whatever. But it is pretty much canon. Like I'm pretty sure it is canon. That's at least how I always view it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, like Eliwood and Ninian are canon. So I'm assuming that, yeah.
Yeah, they are a canon at the very least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that game in general, the first relationship I thought of was Fire Emblem 7 as well. I was thinking, like just Eliwood and Hector. Classic battle bros. I enjoyed their interactions with each other.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Jwittz, I think you will really enjoy my support science tomorrow on Eliwood.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that's what was coming up. By the way, that's like my favorite thing on your channel now. Oh my God, the Xander was like 40 minutes or something, but they're like well presented 40 minutes. It's not often I see someone do like a video that long with it without it being like completely unscripted. So those have been refreshing. It's just a
thanks.
Well, let's learn about Eliwood. That's going to be fun.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with that one is that I legitimately I have three sort of talking like thesis points. The first one is his development as a character in like standalone, and a second is like his chemistry with Hector and what that relationship like means to both of these characters. And then the last part of it is actually talking about Eliwood and Ninian. So in terms of like chemistry and stuff, Ninian and Eliwood, and also I guess to like on the same page there, Hector and Eliwood as well. I think those have really good chemistry together. Yeah. I think Fe7's story, it's very thematic and it's very grounded in sort of, it's a very character-driven story.
Yes.
So I think like, and a lot of Fe7's story deals with like shadowy business and organizations that are really low key. And a lot of Eliwood's adventures have to do with, quelling rebellions instead of actually fighting in rebellions. So a lot of the story has to do with how Hector and Eliwood and Lyn and Ninian, how they all sort of interact with people, and how, it's not necessarily that there's events going on in the story. It's that they're sort of the catalyst for everything going on. It's not the world building is like, it doesn't use a lot of the map compared to Fe6, but I don't really think it needs to. It's very concise, very like small scale. Like the characters react and do things to other characters rather than events in the world that are outside their control type thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to not at least say Fire Emblem 7's like somewhere in the conversation because it was my first Fire Emblem game. But even going back and playing it, just recently I did. I was like, wow, I really enjoy these character relationships. They did a good job with them without them feeling like tropey and weird. They're just kind of cool. People talking to each other. Yeah.
And as a favorite Cain and Abel archetype, I'm going to say Kyle and Ford from Fe8.
That's fair. I would say, Kyle and Ford was definitely on my radar. Does Saizo, and oh my god, help me out.
Kaze?
Saizo and Kaze, does that count?
I've heard...
the same. Like, I've seen some people lump those.
Yeah.
I enjoy like they're brothers, but they're not like that same class set. I enjoy their relationship a lot.
I'd count that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think there's really an equivalent in Fates.
I mean, I guess also like Kent and Sane, they're not like Whimsy. It seems like that would be Whimsy's favorite Cain and Abel, but that's also actually a pretty good one. Yeah, I think 7 and 8, they have an enjoyable like presentation of that archetype.
Yeah. Dubby Step asks, do you prefer Jenny or Silk's new design? And favorite non-Fire Emblem game series, Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VII, and how do you feel about the Golden Sun games? Now, I personally go for Silk's design, and I think it's funny, like I'm going Silk all the way, and I don't know if you've noticed this, because I seem to be like the only person who has, but like the Cleric redesigns and Echoes have like this, I think they have an emphasis on the booty. I always say that.
So the only thing that I can go off of for these is just looking at the redesigns, because I don't know what the original design was, Just looking at the two, I enjoyed Silk's design.
Yeah.
But I think they all have like decent designs like across the map.
All the designs are fine, but I just like Silk's more because I just think they intentionally emphasize the butt. So now I call her Thilk instead of Silk.
Oh no! Oh wow! I found you. Literally, Miss New Booty. Get it together and bring it back to me. All the sparks. 17.
Okay, and my favorite non-Fe game series. I'm gonna say it's a toss-up between Kirby and the Metroid Prime series.
Ooh, dang! Yeah. I love Metroid. I love Metroid, period, but Prime has a special place in my heart.
Same here.
Special place that should have been filled once more on the Nintendo Wii U. They will like literally never have the ability to make the scan visor again the way that they had the opportunity of that technology. It's gone now.
Damn shame, man.
It is. Metro's working on something, they always say. But I
heard they were, but you can never know. Never know.
I mean, like, they usually make good stuff when they make it, but why don't they make the stuff that's the best stuff? That's the Metroid stuff. I don't know. Yeah. For me, it's like, it's a very, like, this is super softball question, like, definitely Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, I live and breathe that series in a lot of different ways through, like, all of its media. especially like the card game, the shows, and of course just the video games themselves. Pokemon though is like, it's almost too easy of an answer because it's just omnipresent. Even today, like while people aren't swarming in the streets like they were for like the initial release of Pokemon Go, I feel like almost everybody around our age just knows what Pokemon is and like recognizes that series name.
Yeah.
It's so big. So it's an easy pick. If I have to pick one that isn't that though, then it gets a lot tougher.
Yeah, well, I mean, this next question is Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VII. And for me, I'm picking Chrono Trigger because I've never played FF7. Don't kill me, people. I've never played FF7.
Yeah. And you really can't compare.
Yeah, but how about you? Yeah, have you played both?
Yeah, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I've played them all several times. 7, of course, quite a bit. Like 7 maybe had more of an impact for me at the time of playing it because I was young and impressionable. It was like Final Fantasy 7 and Ocarina of Time, those were like the two big fantasy adventure games that blew my mind. But like, if you ask me to replay Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 7 today, I'm replaying Chrono Trigger. You get right out.
Yeah, buddy.
Really quickly with that game, and it sort of scratches on what I was saying earlier. Like, the 2D games just age so much better than early polygonal graphics because you can actually you see the characters. They've got wonderful sprites and wonderful art. And you can even play like the remakes of Chrono Trigger to get the cutscenes as well. I can easily play Chrono Trigger since they have the DS make of it as well. Final Fantasy VII is a good game, but I feel like it's a game that gets worse each time I go back and play it, whereas Chrono Trigger I feel like gets better each time I go back and play it.
Okay. How about Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a tough one because
wait a second.
I love both these games equally. Like Chrono Trigger is like based as fuck, and Final Fantasy VI though
probably Final Fantasy VI for me, but that's tough. They're quite different games. Like, they have very different systems, but they're just both like really solidly crafted Super Nintendo RPGs.
Yeah, they're both legendary.
Yes, the Super Nintendo was just loaded. They had so many good RPGs in like one 2-3 year span.
Yeah, you are right though. Like, I've never really thought of it that way, that like 2D sprite games have a lot more, they can live for a lot longer, for lack of a better term, and compared to like polygonal games, like you said.
I just recently did like the next episode of like the underrated game series for the Nintendo 64, and like the early polygons are just hideous. They just don't age. It's just looking at blocks. And the other problem is like the graphics look so much worse compared to today, but also TVs are so much bigger. So it just emphasizes how terrible so much stuff looks. The only two games I found truly visually appealing were like they actually still use sprites or a type of sprite.
Oh, there's a last part of this question is, how do you feel about the Golden Sun games? And I don't have an opinion because I've actually never played a Golden Sun game.
I like them. I think they're pretty dang good. Oh man, I'm 90% sure I talked about it. It's tough because the hardest underrated games video for me to make was for the Nintendo DS because that system had such a huge library. But I really enjoyed, like, Golden Sun had like 2 games that were like bang bang. They came out in that Game Boy Advance era. That was the time where I was just thirsty for RPGs all the time. It was like Golden Sun and your Fire Emblems and your Advance Wars. And then the series goes dark for like almost 10 years. 2010, we get a DS Golden Sun game. And it's actually pretty good. Just like a well-crafted RPG. It's not crazy, but it was nice and familiar. And now it's dark again. So I think it's a good series. It's tough because there's so many just wonderful games out there that use similar systems, but I do like Golden Sun quite a bit. I like the character as well. People either try and mod him into Smash games. There's like Super Smash Flash, I think, has him as a playable character. Isaac, I think is his name. No, I need to double check. 1 second.
I think it is Isaac, and I think the main character is Isaac, and his son is Matthew or something. Like
that sounds right.
Yeah. I don't know how I know that. I think I don't even know.
No, you got it. I'm so So bad. Yeah. Matthew's the one from the DS game. I'm so bad with names. So leave it to me to now be on a podcast about the game where there's like 50 playable characters every single title. It's brutal. And like most of them are non-traditional names.
Oh my god. Some of the... Okay, like... What was it? I think Fe8 has the most like obnoxious names. Like, I don't know how to pronounce Rachel still. I don't know. Everyone gave me so much shit for that in my plot review video. They were like...
They gave me trouble with that right off the bat. It's like, is it Irica? Is it Erica?
Is it Ephraim or Ephraim? I don't know, man. Yeah, that was pretty annoying. Yeah, names are just bad news, man. I remember first pronouncing Shigure as Shigur, and everyone was like, "Why are you calling it that?" And I'm like, I'm from East Coast Canada. Do you think I know how to pronounce Japanese names? Like, no, bud.
When in doubt, I guess Japanese names, like, they're always a separate syllable per, like, combination of consonant vowel. But, you know.
Yeah, you can never tell. Lately, I've been trying to refer more to the wikis, which has helped. But sometimes it just doesn't, because, again, Rachel is just Rachiru in like Japanese. I'm like, where's the L and apostrophe coming from? I don't even know, man.
Yeah,
like I don't know.
That might have been a weird just localization to begin with, because like in Japan, their R and L sounds are like they're right up there together.
Yeah, so it's like apparently her name's just Rachel, and it's just like, come on now, like tell me, just don't like I'm like, how old am I at that point? Like 14, 13? You think I'm gonna know how to pronounce these? Come on. And that's what I appreciate about the localization for Fates, is that like even though like it seems like some of the name changes were like inane, how they like changed Saizo, and instead of ending with a U, they just cut out the U altogether to like just get rid of any sort of ambiguity at all. It's Saizo, not Saizu or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just like, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
It's a tough battle.
And 227 some guy asks, this one's kind of a given for us based on what we've talked about, but how do you feel about the Alieve games? They're amazing. They're great. I think they're a really good entry to the series, and yeah,
they're very
pretty
easy
much
to come back to too.
Oh yeah, they have a lot of. I mean, I played it like for my Elliewood video. I sped through. I turned on cheats and just sped through the campaigns for both Elliewood and Hector mode, and I was just like, there's still things I've learned. I mean, there's things that I'm gonna talk about tomorrow that I've still learned today, or that I learned in the process of making the video.
That's really cool.
There's lots of cool hidden stuff that I think requires you to both have sort of a more mature sort of perspective, and just like, you know, the more mature you are, the more sort of empathy you feel towards these characters, and the more you kind of pick up on the like multiple times back. And I think that's also something I find really interesting about Fire Emblem, is that there's a lot of subtleties in the writing, and I feel like it takes a certain level of maturity to understand that. And that's something that I find, even though these games are supposed to appeal to, you know, young kids, like when we were both very young, we both played these games, but like even the more you go back on it, the more like there is these mature tones to it.
Oh yeah.
That you just don't pick up the first time around. I think that's a really cool sort of longevity thing, I guess, for the franchise.
Yeah, Fire Emblem, 9 times out of 10, their bad guys are just like the most obvious looking villains of all time. So it's like, growing up, you know, I'm like, okay, I know this is the bad guy. I gotta beat the bad guy. I get it. But going back and playing the games, you realize like, oh wow, there's this quite complex geopolitical landscape that they're crafting here, and like especially when the games connect, like the Alieve games, you're like, oh, they were going for something here. This is how the land is shaped. Feels more like a Game of Thrones to me.
Especially Tellius.
Oh, Tellius for sure is all about disputes and nobility and claims to the throne. A million different ways you can claim the throne in Tellius. Or like whether you have the right or not. I enjoy those games. They're fun to go back to. They're fun to read. Like sometimes if I'm not even just feeling like the tactics of it, I just like seeing what the characters say to each other.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, I think if you really like the sort of the world building and the politics behind Tellius, I think you would really, really like FE4.
Yeah, it's one of the few I have yet to scrape to yet. And I've heard it even feels similar, like the size of the maps and such. It's my next step. From what I understand, it has like the least accessible translation, or am I misunderstood?
Well, it used to have a really clunky translation, but there was recently a new translation that came out, and it's very, very good.
Okay. I will give it a stab. I certainly, I can't make videos about it, but I'll tweet about it until Nintendo tells me to stop. If I get the free time. And that's the other problem. Free time. I'm like, the new Fire Emblem game is about to drop, so of course someone will play that. But I'm keeping it in my back pocket. I'm also hoping this game just does well enough where they're like, hey, you know what? Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of... It wouldn't be Shadows. You would have a better subtitle idea for it than I would. What?
Well, I think...
Just genealogy? I don't know what they would call it.
I think, well, there was a suspicion that the Echoes thing was part of this sub-series of remakes, but apparently it's not. And
really?
Echoes is just... Yeah, apparently it was, like, debunked.
Oh,
that's not a sub-series at all.
I did not even catch that fact. That's bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, I could be wrong too, right? But like that's the sort of idea behind it. Because I think in Japan it's not Echoes, it's something else, and it's just it doesn't like match up or whatever. I don't know. I kind of forget.
I guess that's like a well localized, but I guess that doesn't necessarily mean that they wouldn't do more remakes in Japan. But I guarantee you they would keep Echoes in like the localized title.
Well, perhaps, but I think I mean, I don't really. I'm kind of going off like my gut here, but I think the whole aspect of Echoes of like the whole Echoes of War type sort of narrative they're going for with Shadows of Valencia is that like there's two armies, and
that makes sense. Yeah, there's echoes between your Celica and Ulm journeys. You're both on the boats. It's like echoes. It's what's that George Lucas quote? It's like poetry, it rhymes.
I'm not sure about that one, but I think that's kind of what they were aiming for, was just that like Celica is concerned for Ulm as Ulm is concerned for Celica, but they're both fighting different battles in the same war type thing.
They probably thought we'd be confused because they put two games in one game instead of selling them as separate ones, so they had to make sure that you've understood. Oh
my gosh! Could you imagine if they remade Gaiden?
The Ulm route and Celica route separated into two separate games. That'd be bittersweet.
We're already getting milk from the friggin' DLC, please.
Oh my god, that's worth talking about. More than the cost of the game, right?
Yeah.
You get the pack, $40.
Yeah.
I'm holding off until someone tells me it's good or not, or until I'm promised we get all of it. I don't know how that happened. Like, Fate sold well. Did they just get bored and not decide, you know what, we're just not localizing the rest of... You know what, we're getting so far off topic.
No, I mean we did go crazy off topic, but I mean I think we've both established our love for Alieve games. I don't think there's any much more to say.
Oh yeah, they real good.
Yeah. Okay, this is the last question of the podcast by Robert Kelly. What convinced you to change so much? I watched so many of your videos from a year ago and you act completely differently. You are so much more mature now than you were a year ago. Less swearing, more thought out responses to things, more positive attitude, and most of all you seem much more accepting of new ideas and concepts. I have had a sudden personal growth in my life as well, so I'm not asking out of how is this possible, more what is it that made you act the way you do now? Now, I wanted to include this question, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this question too, because you've been doing YouTube for, 7 to 8 years now? You started...
Yeah, 2009, so...
Yeah, you started doing Pokemon trading card stuff, transitioning into Pokemon, I guess, games, or you probably have always done both. And now you're more known as a Nintendo YouTuber.
Sure. Yeah, I could definitely talk about that for sure.
Mm-hmm. So and obviously there's a difference in like video quality as you develop, and I can say so myself.
Yeah, but like even deeper, like not just video quality, but like, and I actually like hesitate to tell people to go here, like, dear God, don't go here, but maybe do, because you might learn something. If you watch like my first YouTube video, I was like 18 years old, and I filmed it in like the basement of my college music practice room. And I did not know that it was going to be, you know, the start to something that would become like my entire life. But people change a lot in general. I was so weird and so like spastic, and watching like my early videos, I can see where it's coming from. It was more like I was imitating the creators that I liked and watched at the time. One of the first big internet creators that I ever watched was like the Angry Video Game Nerd. He was like, I don't know if he was necessarily pre-YouTube. I think technically he did start with YouTube, but like it was very, very early in. And he liked to rip into things. So my very first video that I ever did, I was like, oh, I'm gonna rip into the Pokemon theme decks. I'm gonna be edgy. I'm gonna be crazy. Because I wanted to be like the creators that I enjoyed. And I think over time, as you make content, you just start to come into your own voice. You start to realize, like, I can present this information differently. I can be myself. I don't have to be like other previously successful people. So that changes. In general, like, a lot in life has changed for me, like, in terms of overall perspective. My first videos I made, I was, like, just getting into college. I've since, you know, gotten out, been married, had a home. I don't have a family, but I've got a dog, and that is great responsibility, let me tell you. As soon as you have a dog, it changes who you are as a person. Just in general, like, your content can change and you can change, but I usually feel like when people change, it's for the better, because it's them getting more comfortable or getting more interested in topics. That was another thing. It's like, I thought when I first made videos, I can't do like regular video games. People won't like that. There's so many people that already do video games. How about I do something that I know that isn't on the internet yet? And that's where like the Pokemon trading card game video started. But eventually I learned, you know what? It turns out people actually sometimes do like to hear what I have to say about these random like Pokemon lore bits or Nintendo stories from the past. And that's where I found myself in like my biggest comfort zone. Mm-hmm. So that's a massive tangent. I hope that answers the question. I guess just, you know, over time, you might change and you might feel like you're making content that you're prouder of, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, see, the thing for me is, I think for me there's a certain level of maturity and professionalism, and you know, refining the craft of YouTubing, because it is. I feel like everyone starts off really crappy audio, really crappy videos. If you're doing comedy, your jokes aren't on point or whatever.
Yeah. Comedic timing. That's hard. That's a learned process.
It is, for sure. And for me, a year ago, I didn't treat this like, I mean, I was much smaller, like relative to what I am now, and I kind of just didn't treat this as seriously as I do now, because now it is a job of mine. It is a profession, and I'm sure you can relate to this as well. Yeah. When you get a sizable audience, you have people who look up to you. And I take that, and I'm sure you do as well. Like I take this very seriously, and like in the sense that if people are going to look towards me as an influence or as a voice, then I want to make sure that I'm not sort of throwing out this really just sort of not like, for lack of a better term, like a toxic sort of mentality where it doesn't really help anyone or it's not productive. Sure. I think as people who do this as a job, being a positive, you know, impact is part of the package. It's like part of the deal that you sign on to when you do something like this and you have an audience. And in that sense, not only is it like a profession, not only is it refining your craft over the time you're doing this, but you have obligations and you have responsibilities that you may not have thought you had a year ago when you weren't doing this. And now, since I have that in my mind, I always try to make sure that like I mean, like, I'm sure you've held back on what you have to say too, because, you know, in the long term or in the short term, it's just not worth putting yourself in that sort of space, for lack of
I don't like burning bridges if I can help it. And that's maybe just how I've been just as a person. But over time, you know, people are going to disagree. There's some language that people dislike that other people are fine with. You know, the world is constantly changing. But overall, like, I found that it's easiest to be like a non-combative content creator. Like, it's easy to complain about something, but I always like, and as I get older, I learn like people's opinions matter, even if they're different than mine. Like, I've learned like there is no all-encompassing right opinion. You know, everybody's gonna have a different take on things. So I've tried to become like a little more relaxed and a little more like open to, you know, people's ideas. It's maybe not quite as drastic as your change, just because I've always been like quote unquote family friendly. Like, I guess that's something that we always did from the start. But even just like the general tone of the show, stuff is a bit less harsh than it used to be. Because I want to have conversations. Like, it's interesting to me. When, like, it sucks, you know, and I've even gone through a big phase as of like a year or two ago. I was working for a company for like a full year, and that changed the way I looked at YouTube completely. I cut off comments because I felt like they were adding so much negative energy. But as soon as I stopped working for Twitch, I realized that I actually wanted to have like conversations with my audience again. So I lifted all the comments on my videos, and to this day I still get people saying like, wow, comments are back, and they've been back for like a year. And that's, you know, just leave that to YouTube. People tune in at different times. They're not constantly watching your content at all times. But I actually like responding to comments and reading through them. And YouTube added some tools that I feel like really help just remove some of the straight toxicity. They finally stepped up their game there, and that's helped a lot too. For sure. If YouTube is something that you get paid to do, and you're using that as a financial thing, then I feel, you know, improving on what you can do and like being all inclusive and being just having better quality stuff and just learning how to do that over time it's just bound to happen if you care enough, right? Yeah. So totally. And like some people will be on the harsh end of that. Oh, I can't believe you sold out. And my friend always says, no, I didn't sell out. I bought in. Sometimes, you know, like, I'm doing this thing that I love for a living, and I want to keep this happening. I want to grow. I want it to be better. And I feel like that's a really cool driving force that just didn't exist when I grew up. You know, if you told me growing up, hey, you can talk about video games and people are really going to care about that, I would have never believed you. I still barely believe you today. But it's important to just know, you know, like, people care, and we try and make our content in a way that will continue to keep you guys caring. Yeah, exactly. Well, that is all the questions for this. We've been doing this podcast for about 1 hour and 40 minutes. Oh my God. Yeah, oh, no. Time flies, eh? Rest in peace, editing, whatever you have to do. Yeah. Feel free to cut me down. I talk quite a bit. But well, I'm pretty quick at editing, so it's one of my talents, is just being like wonderful, snipping and cutting stuff off. Well, anyways, TheJWittz, I really appreciate you coming on. It was really great to have you. Oh, no I had problem. A lot of fun talking with you. Yeah, it was a great time. I feel bad. I never have time to like do side projects and stuff, but when like I've got like an hour or something of free time and there's a content creator that I really enjoy that says, hey, you want to do this? I try my best to make some time for it, because I love your content. I love the direction that it's going. And thanks, man. It's been fun just talking about basketball. Yeah, it is great, because I'm actually in the same boat as you. Like, there's not a lot of... If you've played all the Fire Emblems and like the Japanese ones too, and you want a similar game, try basketball. It's great. It's a great strategy game. There's a lot of different roles. Sometimes it's really fast paced. It's a fast paced RTS shooter. Okay, so maybe it's not very much like Fire Emblem at all. But I seriously, of all the content creators I've talked with, there are maybe two I know. Like you and Peanut Butter Gamer are the only people that care about basketball as much as I do.
Oh yeah, he does too.
It's great. Oh yeah, it's great.
What's his team?
He's Mavericks. He
Oh wow.
I believe he was in that area, but we both live in the Seattle area now, so where there's no official basketball team. So please come back, Supersonics, just so I can watch some games. I don't want to have to drive all the way to Portland. Portland's nice, but it's also like a 3.5-hour drive.
Rough. Thanks, TheJWittz, again, and stay in touch. We'll talk about more basketball.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me. It's been fun, and I hope you guys all enjoy Echoes.
Deuces.